Take a look at this photograph. Would you be shocked if I said that there was no camera involved in the making of this whatsoever? To all intents and purposes, we're looking at a real person. But this photograph was generated using artificial intelligence. A photograph created by typing some words into a box. Do you feel cheated? Is this the end of photography as we know it? Stay tuned and I'll try and put your mind at rest. AI software works by generating new images from a vast database. By typing in a description of the picture that you would like to generate, the software uses a complex algorithm to combine elements of other images to create a new one. I know, pretty scary, right? Let's delve into this a little bit deeper to see what's to become of our beloved medium in the future. Compared to other visual art forms, photography is relatively new. Unlike painting, sculpture or dance, for example, we rely on technology to produce our results. Without some kind of a camera, photography just simply wouldn't exist. In the early days of the medium, photographers were seen as imposters. A philosopher at the time, Charles Baudelaire, said, "Photographers, you will never be artists. All you are is mere copiers." He, like many other admirers of the master painters of the time, saw some upstart with a box and a lens on it as a bit of a fraud, taking away the time, effort and skill needed to produce a masterpiece and replacing it with a copy of reality. It wasn't long until photography suddenly became more accepted by the masses, not just as a way of capturing a moment, but also as an art form in its own right. Photographers like Ansel Adams and Edward Weston were using this to implement their own subjectivity to complement the mechanical technical processes that produced their work. I know we all have our own views on what photography is and how we should all go about making pictures, but for me anyway, the more thought that we put into our image making, the better the results. Anyone can point and shoot, but I think a really good photographer is a master of light and will consider absolutely everything within the frame and truly engage with their subject matter. However, this doesn't quell the threat of artificial intelligence taking over photography, because at the end of the day, the more thought you put into the description you're typing into the generation box, then the better the result is going to be. Ultimately, I think the line between AI and practical photography comes down to experience. AI removes the instinctual reflexes of photography, and at the moment anyway, it doesn't allow us to be spontaneous, to capture that moment of reality as it unfolds in front of our eyes. I fear I'm starting to sound a little like Baudelaire. All AI can do is copy. Surely it will never become the norm. I'm afraid I can't sit here and say that AI is only going to be a little bump in the road. I think as it develops, it will have the ability to falsify history, to fool us into thinking things happened when they quite clearly didn't, and to produce fantastical scenes brought about by imagination rather than reality. But is it all doom and gloom? Remember when digital photography first came in and started to threaten film? Maybe you're too young. At this point, people said, this is the death of photography as we know it. But then digital photography became more and more accepted. And remember when Photoshop came out? Maybe you're still too young. But again, the death of photography was upon us. Yet 30 odd years later, we're still here, and photography may have changed a little bit, but the simple act of harnessing light and composing images with it hasn't gone away. The truth is, with its technological dependencies, photography is always going to change and adapt. And yes, that change might be too fast for some people to keep up with. I think sometimes us photographers can be masters of our own downfall. Our pursuit of perfection and better technology in order to achieve it can sometimes remove us from what photography is truly all about. It is a link to a moment. It shows an individual perspective. It shows how somebody connects with their subject matter, and it allows us to share that with the world. For me, it isn't just about the finished article of a photograph. It's about the process of getting there, which is equally as important. Given the tone of this video, you may be surprised when I say that I'm actually looking forward to trying out AI technology myself, to see what I can come up with. However, I very much doubt, however good the results might be, that it will usurp the feeling of joy that I get when I actually capture and witness a scene happening in the moment in front of my eyes. I'm pretty sure AI will eventually settle down and find its place. Indeed, our cameras already use similar technology in preempting fast-moving subjects, to decide where we want our focal point to sit, or to depict a colour palette of a photograph. It's in areas where authenticity isn't as important, where photographs are needed quickly and cheaply, like in the stock photography and advertising markets, where I think AI poses the biggest threat to professional photographers. However, if you felt cheated when I first showed you this photograph and said that it was generated using artificial intelligence technology, then that's a good thing. It shows that you have morals as a photographer. And like 99% of other people watching this video, you believe in authenticity. And I think that it's that will help photography to keep in a prominent position going forward. Like with anything new, we can feel threatened by things that we're not quite sure about, or things that are out of our control. But if we learn to accept that change is inevitable, believe in our craft and gain a knowledge and understanding of what else is out there, we can learn to adapt. AI is here, and it's only going to get bigger, better and stronger. But it's not going to kill photography as we know it. I have a feeling that many purist photographers may start to look to the past. The processes of analogue photography could be seen as a way to quell the threat of the marauding digital age. A photograph that is developed and printed using chemicals on true photographic paper is something that may never be able to be replicated by a computer. Just like the grain we see when we look at a film photograph, or the crackles that we hear when listening to a vinyl record, there's a tactile nature to holding a camera and bearing witness to something happening in the moment unfolding in front of your eyes. There's certainly no artifice in it. In fact, it's quite the opposite. There's a truth there that connects us with humanity. And from my humble perspective, it's that connection that will keep photography going. At least for a little while longer anyway. If you're still feeling a little uneasy, then watch this video next to feel more comfortable in your own skin as a photographer.